Let's go one shot for the dagger. That scared me. What the fuck?
This couldn't happen again. This is that once in a lifetime. This is the thrill divine. What's more, this never happened before. Though I have prayed for a lifetime that such as you would suddenly be mine, mine to hold as I'm holding you now, and yet never so near, mine to have when the now and the here disappear. What matters differ when this doesn't happen again. We'll have this moment forever, but never, never again. We'll have this moment forever, but never, never again. Till then, my darling, please wait for me. Till then, no matter when it will be someday, I know I'll be back again. Please wait. Till then, our dreams will live though we are apart. Our love, I know we'll keep in our hearts till then. When all the world will be free, please wait for me. Although there are oceans we must cross and mountains that we must climb, I know every game must have a loss. So pray that our loss is nothing but time. Till then, let's dream of what there will be. Till then, we'll call on each memory. Till then, when I will hold you again, please wait till
Oh my god, what is going on?
the
Yeah, it's like a useless host. Oh wow, I got 2 drops. I got the helmet and the halberd. I kind of want to make like a basic bitch sword and shield build after all this ridiculousness. I might just be on heal duty, actually. I don't know. We're not gonna have enough damage if I don't do damage. What do you want me to do? I get hit once I die. Oh my god, this fucking died.
It seemed we stood like this before. We looked at each other in the sun,
Oh shit.
but I can't remember or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you are smiling, you were smiling then, but I can't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we've met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows where or when? Never thought that you would be standing here so close to me. There's so much I'd feel that I should say, but words can wait until some other day. Kiss me once, kiss me twice, then kiss me once again. It's been a long, long time. Haven't felt like this might be since can't remember you. It's been a long time.
How do I make this build actually viable? I don't know if there's a way to actually do that. I do have a lot of casts. I could take some out of mind and put it into vigor. Let's not do that. I just gotta be really careful about not dying. I'm doing alright so far, I guess. Doing alright for a glass cannon. Nowhere near as good as Night Comet. Bit too fast, more liking. Mr. Vendetta. What happened to Shy Gal? Shy Gal just died? When did that happen? This is not going to go well. This guy, I think he only has like 500 health. We're gonna fight Estelle. 2 glass cannons fighting Estelle. But who knows? Maybe Light of Mikola is good against this boss. You know it's bad when the host is more scared than the glass cannon. Wait, wrong spell. Wait, what? Where did that hit? Yeah, he's dead. Not enough vigor for like a melee build anyway. Let's take a short break here. Get some more work done. Hmm.
That you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow violin. Oh, why can't if happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Hey again, Zakaria. How's it going?
I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
That's good. I didn't think anyone would actually listen to that. I assumed everyone was just like AFK. Just had to make sure someone was listening. Yeah, I'm doing very well after that. Oh yeah, there's some videos I wanna watch.
Layoffs used to be a last-ditch effort to save a studio.
Hold on. I need to drag you guys out of here so I can actually read comments.
Game companies would find that they could no longer pay salary, and so they'd slim down their team and try to make it until they could find new financing. Now they seem to be a trend, they seem to be accelerating, and it's heartbreaking because there's a real human cost for doing layoffs. It's one of the most destructive things you can do to a team. And the worst part is that it doesn't have to be this way. If game leaders start managing their content production, their teams, and their costs, the industry could return to a stable place where layoffs are the exception, not the rule. For context, it helps if you understand a little bit about the stages of development to understand what one of the key problems is here. Simply put, there are 3 phases of production. The first is pre-production. This is where you're figuring out what the game is. You have ideas and you're trying to translate them into plans that can be built. You need to be small and agile. You can't have a large team working on the game during pre-production.
So I'm right.
Because
I'm right. I'm in pre-production right now. Like I'm very small and agile.
it slows you down
Exactly.
too much.
That's what she said.
Now I'm in production. We'll need to double up the staff of this company within the next 12 months to be able to make a game of this size.
Once you move into production, you need a lot more people. This is where all the artists and designers join the team full-time and start cranking out content. It's easy for things to go off track because communication has to scale and it's a long phase of development. Eventually, you get through, almost all of the code is done, almost all of the content, and guess what? It's time to slim the team down again.
At the end of every production, they draw on a whiteboard a plane that's on fire, and then the analogy is you've got to land, right? Like
When you're shipping and finalizing a build, pushing it out is very difficult. It's easy to break things, so you don't want a lot of people touching the code. You lock it down and only a small number of people make changes.
Yeah, that's what she said. I'm small and agile.
And this is one of
What's
the
wrong with
age-old
that?
problems in game development, and it's gotten worse because the teams have gotten big. What do you do with all of these people that you no longer need on the product at the end and beginning of the game? During the ship phase,
You
most of
eat
the team
them.
rolls off,
Human
and in
barbecue.
the short term, they typically rest, they take some time off, they come into the office a little later and leave a little earlier. But that downtime doesn't last forever. Soon the team is eager to get back to creating. Talented artists want to make art. They don't want to hang out in the office all day doing nothing. When you ship, it's a perfect time for your competitors to steal your best artists, and they will. Passionate creators need to create, so one option companies take is to have everyone work on downloadable content. The team that has rolled off the game can work on new maps, levels, weapons, skins, items that can be shipped later that fans will enjoy, and that might bring in a little additional money to keep the studio afloat. I know in recent years, many gamers have gotten upset about downloadable content because they feel like it should be shipped with the game. But the reality is that it's often not ready. If hooking it up and making it available will destabilize the shipping build, developers aren't going to do it. They'll get the game out and then they'll ship this additional content later. Another option is to move the artist to another game in the studio, one that is moved into production. This is why it's desirable to have multiple games in different stages of development. Obsidian was already working on Outer Worlds 2 when Avowed shipped. They had a place to land their team. If a studio doesn't have a second game, they can also take on work from another studio, and you see this happening a lot. They essentially get paid to have their people working on someone else's game while they finish up their own. For example, Crystal Dynamics is currently working on a new Tomb Raider and co-developing a reboot of Perfect Dark with the Xbox studio called The Initiative. Crystal did recently announce a layoff, but it was much smaller than it would have been if they weren't working on multiple projects. Some studios will hire contractors to bulk up the team. Since they know they don't need them long
Like
term,
me.
they only hire them for a few months and then
Oh,
let
God.
them go after the project is done. Microsoft used to do this with testing. They were co-located with the team, and it was a really great pipeline for hiring.
I've
because
somehow
if you were a
become
great
full-time
tester,
at Bare
you
Metal.
would get hired. Another popular option is outsourcing. There are large
Like
outsourcing
me.
companies that will help you with all different aspects of game development. It's pretty amazing.
I'm
And
amazing.
oftentimes they can operate
She said I'm
much
pretty
cheaper than
amazing.
the game studio does. For example, with Virtuous, you can see a long list of titles they've worked on, including Stellar Blade and Call of Duty. And there are many more possible partners. This can allow a team to stay smaller and keep their costs down. Hiring generalists is another strategy. Of course, there are also many famous one-man band games. Games like Stardew Valley and the recent Schedule 1, where everything was primarily done by one person. But on bigger
Project
games,
Nova.
they have more specialists, and specialists can't move around easily. Some studios focus on hiring and training more generalists, which gives the team more flexibility. Studios can use some of the downtime to help improve their team members and invest in their skills. But this requires knowing the team, and this brings me to the second thing I see studios struggling with: managing their people. Look, making a game with your friends is a lot of fun. It is one of the best jobs in the world. But it is still a business, and you have to run it that way. And it's a hard business. People don't have to give you money.
You get to
see
fire
it
your
through suffer.
friends.
If they
You
don't
get to
like what
fire
you
your
make,
friends
they
if you're
can just
working with
not buy it.
friends.
And that means you have to be even better at managing the
You
studio.
can unfriend your
and managing
friends
the
that
team.
way.
To be blunt, I think a lot of studio leaders have become cowardly and lazy. It's part of why
Exactly.
we see
She's
layoffs
right.
accelerating. Leaders aren't doing the hard things anymore. Look, I get it.
Cowardly
I don't
and
like
lazy.
dealing with toxic people. Who does?
Fucking
Nobody wants to do
pussies,
it.
that's what they
Nobody
are.
wants to deal with them. But guess what? The leader has to do it because that's what you're getting paid to do. And if you don't do it, it's not going to get better. This is most true with toxic people because they're abusive. If a leader doesn't curb that abusiveness and do something about it, it's not like they improve. They don't suddenly come to their senses and go, wow, I'm kind of being a jerk. I think I'll stop doing that. It never happens. They just keep being abusive. It only gets worse. There is no easy path. You either deal with the person or you lose your talent. Because your best people, they don't have to put up with the abuse. They can find other jobs, and they will. Typically, when you let someone go from a company, you don't talk about why they're being let go. But I have never seen a time when a team revolted after a toxic person or someone who wasn't performing was let go. It didn't happen because they already knew. Leaders walk around thinking somehow people don't know that this person isn't getting their job done or they're being kind of an asshole in the hallways. It's not a secret because they have to deal with these people every day. And it's incredibly frustrating to them. In fact, a lot of times managers and leaders wait so long that their best talent is already out interviewing because they've lost faith. If you're already having regular check-ins with people, you're collecting data on how they're doing, you're talking to their peers, you're giving them feedback, you're having performance reviews. If you're doing all of this, you already have all the data you need to manage people who are not performing out. And this is why I'm saying leaders are lazy, because you already have to do this in order to retain your talent. You need data on how people are doing so that you can recognize them and reward them.
I'm
This
becoming a
sounds harsh, you
better
probably shouldn't
game
believe it,
developer
because
by
dealing
listening
with people
to
that
it.
aren't doing great work is the job. And look, I'm not saying you aren't going to give people a chance. You absolutely should. That's the whole point of the regular feedback. If they've been a great performer and they're suddenly not doing so well, you need to figure out why that is, and you need to try to help them get back on track. You shouldn't toss someone out at the first sign of trouble. It's expensive to hire and train new people, so you should be investing in your team, their skills, and their success. That said, it's also expensive to carry a person that can't do their job, and it can't go on forever. You can't have one person dragging down the entire team because you only have so much runway. And this gets to the third point. You have to manage costs. You need to spend your money wisely. The cost of making a game is not fixed. It can be managed like any other business. The key is to think about what the studio needs first. Obviously, they need a place to work, either office or home. They need good computers, monitors, they need a desk, and most importantly, a comfortable ergonomic chair. If you're going to have people sitting all day working on art or code or design, they need to not mess up their back. So comfy chairs are important. Of course, if you do have an office, there will need to be whiteboards, meeting spaces, some sort of kitchen, and of course, bathrooms. After that, everything else is optional. And oftentimes, the optional items don't get used. Every studio has some kind of item like a foosball table or a pinball game sitting unused in the corner because it was too loud and distracted everyone that was trying to do work. In my experience, the key talent doesn't have time or any desire to do anything except make their game, and when they are done for the day, they want to go out and spend time with their family, their friends, or even work on a pet project. This is a little secret about the games industry that I found, that the best engineers and designers were always working on a pet project in their free time.
Oh,
Because
like
doing
me.
that work was the core of who they were. It
Oh
was
my
their
god, this
favorite
video
and their
really is
belief.
that way.
Same was true of key talent working in big tech companies.
Right in the heart of Silicon Valley, Facebook is cooking up a big new project to expand its Menlo Park campus into what can only be described as a fully fledged town.
The campus was crazy. They had massive amounts of overspending in all sorts of areas. Any kind of food you wanted, ice cream, it was nice. But the worst part about it is that it attracted the exact wrong kind of employee. Why would you want to attract talent that wants to spend the day working in the woodworking shop instead of making Instagram great? The people who had time to spend in the Facebook woodworking shop each day were by definition not key talent. And I can assure you, these people were also the ones complaining about work-life balance and how they were always at work. After providing what is needed for getting the game done, then you have things like health insurance, vacation time, things that are must-haves but also can be scaled based on your budget and the culture you want to create in the studio.
One of the most higher up people in the offices are the first things you see when you walk in.
It kind of cements home the overall theme where it's like, hey, it's in Chicago, not exactly the hotbed of game development these days. It's just some good old-fashioned Midwestern humility going on down there. It's focused, it's not glitzy, it's not glamorous, but they love their past and they're good at what they do.
Games have always been a challenge because even when you do everything right, you can still fail. Even when your heart's in the right place, you listen to the customer and you actually make something gamers want to play, you can still lose. Because entertainment is by definition risky. It's not like food, it's not like heating oil. People don't have to have it. They can simply choose to take their money and spend it on a different game or some other form of entertainment. Game leaders need to get back to paying attention to the details, to making great games that they can afford to make, building trust with their team by rewarding and protecting their best people, and by doing the hard things, making the tough choices.
Very well protected as an employee. So when the studio goes down, the one that's shafted is the owner, right? So I didn't want to burden them with it. They would always be taking care of it with me.
I used to manage a public raid. I was raid leader in WoW. If anyone was underperforming, if they're low on the DPS charts, I'd just kick them. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter if they were a healer. If the healer did low damage, I just kicked them. Because I sucked. I was a horrible manager.
That my life would have been over.
Over time,
As a terrible raid
tell
leader.
us that this was basically the do or die project because we had a meeting about it with the whole company, and we were told that this needed to be it.
It was funny though.
Or it was endorsed based.
It used to be that studios would do everything possible to avoid layoffs. They would cut costs, they would be very careful about managing their projects because it was only as a last resort that they would do that. And sometimes it worked. They could let people go and then hire them back once they had more financing, once they signed another game. But lately, that's not what's happening, and it really needs to change because it's not sustainable. I'm hoping that after seeing what's been happening over the last few years, that studios are going to get it together and that we're going to reverse this trend, and that this will no longer be the way that games are made.
I keep on seeing the same mistakes over and over and over, and it's always the quarterly profits. The only thing that matters is the numbers, and then you fire everybody, and then like next year you're going to see, shit, I'm out of developers, and you're going to start hiring people again, and then you do acquisitions, and then you put them in the same loop again, and it's just broken and broken and broken. You don't have to. You just can make reserves, slow down a little bit, slow down on the greed, be resilient, take care of the people, don't lose the institutional knowledge that's been built up in all of those people that you lose every single time, so that you have to go through the same cycle over and over and over.
I don't think the existing studios will learn. Existing studios are incapable of learning. You're just gonna have to have like new studios who have learned from their mistakes. And I want to watch this one here.
Hello everyone, I'm Timur, and it is my pleasure to be joined today by Sven from Larian. Sven, how are you doing?
I'm great. How about yourself, Dan?
I'm doing good. It's been an
This is a bit
exciting
longer.
time for fans of Larian. I mean, I feel like it's been an exciting time for fans of Larian for about over 2 years now at this point, given the longevity of Baldur's Gate 3. But you just recently put out a major patch, which somewhat unexpected for a lot of people, but significant. It had like new subclasses and crossplay and photo mode, and it feels substantial in a way, which again seems a bit unexpected, but it kind of feels also like a inflection point in the development of that. So where are you and the team currently at with Baldur's Gate 3, both in terms of going forward and setting expectations, and also your own commitment to it from a development and people power perspective?
What?
Well, I mean, it's the end of 8 years of development, really. So it's been a very long journey. We wanted to go out with a bang in terms of what we were going to add to the game and hand it over to the modders. So the modding toolkit has received a significant update, so people can now start making campaigns. So we're going to see what's going to come from that. I think you'll see quite a few things that I hear the things that they're working on.
Man, I can't hear anything. This is so fucking quiet.
What you're going to see is us giving support to any major bugs that pop up. Operating systems change, platforms change, so we'll continue to support those things. Never say never, so you never know if we surprise people. It happens from time to time. But from where we are now, it really is focused on the next big things for us so that we can
So last time we talked to you, speaking of next big things, last time we talked about the next project that the team was working on, it being a big kind of evolution of where you're at, but not the one that you've got in your head, which is the one that comes after this. So as an update now, kind of where are you at with what comes next for Larian, and also the projects that you're working on? Like, what's next for the studio itself?
So I just came out of a meeting where I told people I painfully remember now how much work it is to make a game or a big RPG, that's for sure. So we're deep in the trenches on working on our next big thing. It's shaping up quite well, actually, but it's crazy ambitious. I mean, like, there's so much new things that we can do these days. So yeah, it's complex. And on top of that, we're trying to figure out how we're going to be making 2 games. So we talked about that openly, that we're working on 2 games. So organizing ourselves for that also is also not the easiest thing in the universe, because we make very complicated games with lots of permutations, with lots of agency for players. So predicting when those are going to be finished is hard, and then trying to organize 2 games around that is even harder. So keeping ourselves busy, really.
Yeah. I mean, like it sounds like you need to grow to kind of be able to execute on those things. So do you anticipate like adding new teams? Is the team currently set up to be a project team already, or are you starting to build that as you go along?
Well, we're building that. I mean, it's a complex equation because you're at a stage in game development where things are accelerating. Machine learning is an accelerator. It allows you to do things faster. Making an RPG where flow dictates everything it's very, very hard because you need a lot of people at the end of the waterfall. You need a lot of people at the beginning of the waterfall. Trying to know when the waterfall will get what comes from the top of the waterfall is hard to predict.
Is there captions?
So you have to scope for that. The ideal case is where you can reuse as many people from one team on.
What is this? GameSpot. GameSpot, you guys need to fix your audio.
Second project. So we try not to
This
grow
is
too
dumb.
much on that front. So we really try to scope for what we need for one game and then organize ourselves so that when stuff goes down the waterfall, people are ready to work on the next big thing. So the waterfall obviously meaning, if you in simple terms would say like start with design, and then at the end of the day you have QA that is testing everything that was done, and people are fixing bugs. And at that time, you technically speaking, would want people in design already to be working on the next thing, but it's not as simple as that. Because you have to deal with a lot of things.
Right. And if I'm thinking correctly, is it the case that the studio is now kind of setting up a dedicated team for storytelling? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. Stories are our bread and butter. So we need to make sure that stories are ready ahead of time. In the past, we actually made them at the beginning of our production. So it's one of those things that we're doing to ensure that we have our waterfall under control. So we're trying to make the stories of our future games now, so that we have a big backlog of stories available for us when we start on the next thing. So it's one of those things that we're doing to beat the curve. There's many others. And we just opened the positions last week. So we're building a fairly large storytelling team to work together with our writing team. So the writers work on the games. Storytelling teams basically create stories in whatever form for future games. And then obviously they work together with our teams on the current games also. But it's really more of a forward-looking thing than a today thing.
Right, yeah. I was going to say, like, for people who might not be super aware of what the difference between is something like a storytelling team and a narrative team, how do you kind of explain that? Because someone like me will go, well, aren't they basically the same thing? Like, don't you have... It sounds like your approach is to kind of lay foundations for others to kind of work from.
I used to think the same thing, but then I got educated from reality. No.
With all honesty, Seth, I always have to raise my volume to the maximum so I can hear you. Good, I'm glad you're fixing your volume, Zakaria.
Art over longer periods of time across multiple games. These are all different disciplines, and they require specialization, and so you need people that are used to doing these things. I mean, if you make a great
I like proactive people.
Background is going to be very useful. If you want to make something that has to last across multiple games, you maybe take people that are used to making trilogies or making TV series or seasons. So there's a wide variety of talent that you need to make sure that the stories are going to be up to scratch. We are a company that iterates a lot, and that needs a lot of story. Because
finally fixed your audio. Good job.
When you decide to do something, you want your story to continue, so somebody needs to have thought of this. So it takes us a lot of work to do these things. And to prevent that waterfall that I was talking about from standing still, we learned that it's better to do these things up front rather than at the moment itself, although you still need a lot of capacity at the moment itself to deal with whatever you discovered in the game. It might sound abstract, but in practice it really means we implemented the quest in the game, you're playing it, and then you look at it and you say, hey, I really want to be able to do this. Oh yeah, that's really cool, but what does it mean? Right? What does it mean for the characters? What does it mean for the plot? So these things all need to be thought through, and then they need to be implemented.
It's interesting because most people might not know that you're the founder of Larian, but you're also very much involved in the storytelling aspect of it. You're writing a bunch of it, which is kind of rare for people at an executive level. Where do you kind of fall within that whole team, the existing one and the new one it seems you're trying to build here?
Well, I'm the game director, so it's I work on the core story of how the flow of the entire game is going to be, and then I look at the very on the other end how it's been implemented, and then I give feedback to the team of try this or try that. So I'm a little bit everywhere across that entire pipeline, but I'm only one person, so I have an entire team whom I'm working with. So I've got my writing team, I've got my design team, so they're doing a lot of that work. But what we did realize is like we need someone that is a little bit more detached from the day-to-day interactions that we're doing, like because you get very, very, very
I need to
close.
figure out where this triangle's
to writing,
going.
and so we need somebody that's a little bit more in the background. So that's where that storytelling piece is going to fit.
You mentioned earlier that obviously you need people who are specialists in what they do, and then you also alluded to the fact that you have 2 projects in development at the same time. Firstly, is there anything you can tell us about those projects? But secondly, if I'm right in thinking that Larian's about 500 developers ish, which means you're going to have to like figure out new ways to kind of work.
500 developers, well. Jesus.
And you also mentioned earlier machine learning, which is kind of like a alarm signal in a lot of people's heads. So what are these kind of mechanisms that you're putting in place? Are they tools that you're kind of moving towards? Are they more people focused, or are you doing, you know, what a lot of larger developers are now doing and looking to stuff like AI and machine learning? How much of that should people be aware of, and how are you going to implement that, if at all?
That's a lot of questions all at once.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start with the latter part. Machine learning means a lot of things, right? So for us, we essentially, there's 3 things that we use it for. First is automation of tasks that nobody wants to do. It's the obvious things like motion capture cleaning or voice editing or something very line specific, retargeting. So that is basically if you play with different species, you want to be able to reuse an animation on a different species, but they're in different size, and then they're doing certain interactions with others. So these are things for which machine learning works really well. Then there's what's called white boxing. That's an important one for us because it allows us to iterate more rapidly. White boxing is essentially the stage before you actually redo the real implementation, the thing that's going to ship, where you try something out. So it can be that you say, okay, well, let's try these things out. And typically that takes some time before you can actually play it. And so you can accelerate that with machine learning. So it's good.
Hold on, what is he saying?
Machine learning works really well. Then there's what's called white boxing. That's an implementation. Essentially, there's 3 things that we use it for. First is automation of tasks that nobody wants to do.
Automation test
things like motion capture cleaning or
motion capture cleaning.
voice editing or something very line specific, retargeting. So that is basically
animation retargeting. Okay. Good, copy that. I should have just like put that into Obsidian.
if you play with different species, you want to be able to reuse an animation on a different species, but they're in different size, and then they're doing certain interactions with others. So these are things for which machine learning works really well. Then there's what's called white boxing. That's an important one for us because it allows
white boxing.
us to iterate
What is white
rapidly.
boxing?
White boxing is essentially the stage before you actually redo the real implementation, the thing that's going to ship, where
implementation
you try something
of this thing.
out. So it can be that you say, okay, well, let's try these things out. And typically that takes some time before you can actually play it, and so you can accelerate that with machine learning. So it's good for that.
White boxing. I'm not exactly sure what that is.
And then the most exciting thing is where you can use it for new gameplay. So
New gameplay. They're gonna have machine learning in new gameplay. Like Maddock uses machine learning for like he has like the character like play through the entire level.
truth be told,
Pretty sure
we're
that's
not there
machine
yet.
learning.
I don't think we're close to doing that, but you experiment with it because for an RPG developer, what you really want is something that helps with reactivity to agency. So permutations that you did not foresee, reactions to things that the players has done in the world. They will certainly augment the gameplay experience. So that's where that is. But the reason why people typically have the red alarm, the red bells, or the red flags, or red lights going on, is because it's going to affect people or it's going to steal their work.
That's AI
for us,
generation.
in those departments which are typically flagged in those areas, you see that the amount of people that we're hiring is going up, not going down.
AI generation is different
I
than
think it's very normal
machine
also
learning.
because I mean, it's in the end, it's a tool that's available to everybody. So the difference will always be in what you do with
It's
it.
similar.
And what people are going to
Well,
be doing with it, right? So it just
AI generation is like it uses machine learning, but it's not machine learning.
changes the baseline from which you start, because there are certain true things that you can do faster. But it's always going to be the people that are going to make the difference in it. And so for us, it's super clear that we're investing heavily into the team and the human touch that's being added to that. And so to bring it back then to your original question, so what it helps us with, because I mentioned automation, that means that there's more time for doing things. It also means that there's more volume of stuff being produced, which means that we can do more complex things. Now, when complexity goes up, things start getting really interesting. So it's fair to say that the games that are being made today are arguably more complex than they were in the past. So dealing with that complexity is a question of, again, automation, trying to stuff out. There are things that we call that narrative validation. It's basically trying to figure out, I did 300 choices here that led to this particular permutation. Did I write something that's not correct anymore? And then we try to automate the discovery of these things, which is very, it's not working super well yet, but it is something that you want to do because it takes a lot of time to go through these things, and they're not very creative. So you try to organize your processes, your pipeline, to put as much automation as you can to accelerate your iteration. The faster you can iterate, the faster you will get to a certain result. And then the tightening of those pipelines should allow you, in theory, to make your games in a more efficient manner. But I'm deviating, I know, from your original question. But what happens when you do that is typically that your complexity goes up, because now you say, I can do more. So the net result is exactly the same length of development time that you're going to have. But the way that the roles fluctuate through it is hard to predict. So what we're doing, to now finally really answer your question, is we have teams that are purely focused on the design, and so they're separate from the other teams, and they're just literally focusing on that, while the others are working on the main game, and they're preparing everything for the second game. But their ability to pre-visualize things in terms of how it's going to flow is slightly faster than it used to be in the past. Also because we obviously have a very big toolkit that we've developed over the entire period of time. And so our hope is that eventually those things will click into one another, but I'll be very transparent. We're looking still on how that's going to work exactly. It is not it's not something that you can just put on an Excel file and say, and now it goes there. You know, it's very, very, very organic. The art of development remains an art. It's not an exact
Wash teeth,
Yeah.
Ashley?
I guess
Wash
we
teeth?
talk about those red flags. I think the thing that
Did you
people
say wash teeth?
will mostly respond to, and no doubt will probably respond to your kind of reaction is the human touch element of it.
Mhm.
So that's where people are like, oh, if you're kind of speeding everything up using automation, what's the line between making sure that you still have that human touch part of it? Because we've seen art out there now that is generated very quickly, and it's the more scrutiny you give it, the more you realize, oh, it's missing things, it's soulless and that kind of stuff. So how do you make sure that line is drawn for people and tell the audience that, hey, we're using automation and AI, that kind of stuff, but the game won't turn into kind of like generic slop.
Yeah.
It
I
won't
don't
turn
think
into
you're ever
Modern
gonna see
Warfare.
anything generated in the game itself, at least now in what we're making now, except for the online bits, if we ever manage to get that to work. So the reactive bits, but that will be clear. I think I always think of it like FIFA. In FIFA, they're reacting to what you're doing when you're shooting on the goal, and they say, "Oh, that's striker scores." It's the procedural generation that is going on real time. So that's what I meant with the gameplay bits. So there's no new ways of doing that. In terms of the content, that's being created, that's still being made by hand. So that's these are very long and complex pipelines before something gets into your hands, right? So the things where it's being used the most is in terms of predicting flow, and flow is so I'll give you a practical example. So we discovered already in the past that if we write out a situation and we are going to talk about it, we're going to get very excited, right? And then we're going to try to put in the whiteboxing, we're going to script it, and we're going to try to play it, right? And so if the environment around of the situation is empty, right? What you notice is that the scripting will never have any good feeling to it for some strange reason. Regardless of how much times we talk to the scripters or we try to explain to them, there's a thing, you don't see it, you don't react to it, right? Now, if you completely decorate the entire level and you do the same exercise, you say, here's the situation, and you give it to the scripter, you're going to see that it's completely different, right? So it's going to feel more real and you get a better feel for, is the situation going to work, yes or no? Now, it takes a lot of time to do that. And it's not necessarily something that's going to ship because it's just a trial at that point in time. If you can accelerate that phase, the iteration time that went into thinking about the flow has been decreased, and so you're going to get more iteration because more things will be tried out, and so you're going to get a better result at the end of it. At all times in this process, it was the person, the developer that was guiding this process, that was using their creativity. This was not generated. The only thing that was generated is just the environment at that particular point in time, but that's not something you're going to ship. Right? So the same thing goes for pretty much everything that you generate. So you try to pre-visualize things because it makes it easier, right? And but then afterwards you say, okay, well, I think we're going to go in that direction. Let's now see how that goes to what we call Orange Box. And in Orange Box, you make the things by hand. So that's a very different thing still.
Right. So your kind of like approach is nothing that is created using machine learning AI will.
Yeah, this is basically what I'm planning on doing.
As is. Like, well, that's just the early phase of
basically,
it. A person will come in and take it.
Basically, Larian's using AI for prototyping, design, and everything across, like, whatever that can be automated, it can be prototyped, which is white boxing, and then orange boxing is when designers actually go in and like handcraft everything with the help of AI.
Everything that you've done there and manually create that by hand.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I have to
Good night.
Because so if we,
yeah, you can move it.
For instance, there is output of machine learning will happen in things like retargeting or in cleaning or motion capture. There you will actually see that gets into the game, but that's not the thing that people are worried about. I think it is more about are we going to see is the art that's here, is it generated? In everything that we're doing right now, no, you're not going to see the generated art in the output game that's going to happen. Do we use it during the dev process to pre-visualize things? Yes, we will try things out or to try But really, even then, I mean, like, don't expect this to be. I think we're not creating these beautiful, great things. This is just really like, get me. I need a chair and a thing in here, so I can just have a look at if it's going to work, right? So don't oversell sell it either for what it is. It is a tool to help you accelerate your development process.
Right. So there's not going to be any characters with like 5 hands unless it's intended to be there.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
No, certainly not. I mean,
do you ever foresee a time where that kind of like jump could happen, where you feel confident enough in AI to allow it to create content, or is that something that you fundamentally believe as a principle of, you know, the studio and your own creative process, you'll never make that jump?
So I don't think you would have a competitive advantage if you want, if you do, because it's going to be what's available to everybody, right? So that's what I meant with the baseline. If the baseline goes up because generation is available to everybody, fine, that's the new reality that we're in. But you're still going to want to create something special on top of that, right? So, and I think that's where teams like us will make the difference. We're a very boutique team. We're actually crafting the situations and the flow of the story by hand is the thing that we do. So it's when we talk to people about it, this is always the discussion, right? So, oh my God, our jobs are going to disappear. I said, no, but you're just going to work differently, potentially, but you're still going to be making the difference. I don't think that people in my position that say like, oh, we'll replace everybody by AI are doing the right thing. I think they're doing the wrong thing. What I do think is that we're going to jump forward in the type of games that we make. So we're going to make better games that improve in simulating reality and suspending our disbelief. So we're going to be making our games differently. That's, I think, goes without any doubt. But to say that it will replace the craftsmanship, I think we're very far from it. For that to happen, you would need real intelligence, I think, and real creativity. And even then, I'm not sure if you're going to get actually human emotion in there also. So you'll need all those things to be, you'll need a human, to be honest. So now it's the Android stream of electric sheep, right? So, but as long as the human difference is there, we will be able to make a difference. But we'll be able to do more, and that's what you see today already. I mean, again, because people often say, "Oh yeah, the automation," but the automation is a huge thing. I don't know if people understand how much time an animator spends on stuff they don't want to work on, and that now that's being taken away because you can automate it. It's a huge thing, so it adds a lot to the time that they have to work on the creative stuff.
Yeah, as you mentioned, do you anticipate saving that time, using that time to shorten development cycles, or do you think it will be the same kind of period of time, just more focused where you want it to be instead of where it needs to be at times?
So I think the naive thing is the thing that it will shorten them. I think that I think this is an age-old truth. If you give a developer 2 years, they'll take 3. So the same thing will be the case here with what you're going to give them in terms of abilities to do stuff. If they have the abilities to do things faster, they'll just do more, which is what you want actually also. That's why I think it will improve the state of the art in terms of games that we're going to see. You're going to see more and more things, but they will be used in creative ways that we haven't even imagined yet.
So you mentioned the storytelling department is a new thing that you're kind of working on and setting up, and you've got your roles out there which people can find and apply to if they feel they have a shot or qualified or want to take a crack at it. One of the things that's been kind of in my mind is the sensibility and the identity of the studio, which I think more and more to people is something they pay attention to. And I think what makes Larian kind of unique, or in the minds of fans and people generally, what makes Larian stand out is you're a pretty big team, but you also have that very independent sensibility at the core. So that's something now that I and a lot of people are probably thinking about. How do you maintain that same kind of indie energy while both expanding the amount of people that you have and also adding these tools that are kind of more advanced?
Yeah, it's a challenge. So I mean, the baseline attitude to that is to this is going to sound super corporate, to empower the developer. But the idea is really
Wait a
that
second.
we try to give every single developer as much freedom as they can get without
Let's-
walking outside of the general lane in which we're heading. Or to better place it, there's a certain direction. Here's something that
I was
we
gonna
need.
add
Go and do
more
your thing
geometry
and
here
add
too.
whatever you can with X amount of time.
Okay.
So the way that we organize that, I talked about at last GDC, I think, is the feature group, where we just say, this is your feature. You own this together with the team that's assigned to it. Do the best that you can with it. We'll look at it from time to time. If it's too much out of control, we'll tell you, but otherwise, this is your thing. And so that works super well. So it's one of our secret tricks. It's not that secret, but it works. So I think at GDC, we gave the example of the BART class on BG3. It was one of the most successful ones, where we just said to the developers, here's the BART class. These are the things that need to happen with it. Go and have fun with it. And then what we got out of it was so much more than what we expected. And that works really well when you leave people and you give them the room and the trust to do their thing. And so that attitude, I think, is important to protect. So we do our best to make sure that stays there. But obviously, as the team is bigger, it requires more organization to allow that to happen. So it's something we're focused on heavily. Funnily enough, also through automation. So where you try, it's a stupid thing, right? But it's like a core story has changed. Here's an AI tool that tells you what has changed, rather than having to reread the entire document again. It's a small thing, but it saves so much time in a day. And so these people need to be aware of these things. All right, great. So they're aware of it. So it's that kind of thing. But essentially, at the core, it keeps on trusting people to do what they're very good at. So that's it, and giving them the space and the means to do so. And then I think
How much is
other
this?
bit is,
16.
trying to be as open as we can.
18.
I mean, if we have communications
I think
problems,
there's-
probably because somebody forgot. It's never going to be because it was hidden. So it's also
see
very
here.
important.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing as a leader of the studio, you probably have thought about or think about or in the process of figuring out is obviously as you grow, the stakes for the thing that you're making become a bit higher because you now have more people to kind of think about. How do you kind of approach expansion knowing that the risks then you then have to take become trickier because the scope of it is bigger, more people, and the stakes of it are much higher and you can affect more people? How do you approach that?
There's I think I talked about this, maybe with you. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember. It was with you, right? So it's always having fallback plans. So we got a plan B and a plan C. So that stays the same. So that hasn't changed since my days when I didn't have money to pay for the gasoline. There's a plan B and there's a plan C in case things go wrong. And that is essentially something I hope I never have to do. But I think they're fairly robust. Obviously, the proof will be in the eating of the pudding. I don't know what the future will bring. But I feel, for the moment, I feel fairly confident that what we're doing is solid.
Right.
So I'll be able to look in the mirror should it go wrong in the way that things will then roll out, I think.
Yeah. I guess you mentioned what your plan is, and I think that it's worth asking because a lot of people look to you as kind of a person who's able to cut through the noise, and also your successes are kind of evident and it gives you an authority. Like, what do you think are traditionally the mistakes that get made when implementing something like automation or even growing a studio that you see happening around you, which kind of contribute to the conversation that this is not doable or it's something to be worried about?
But so there's two components, right? So the growing bit, we're figuring it out ourselves because we're only just in the growth phase, and so others have gone through it. So we're definitely aware of the risks. On the automation front, I think it's that. I mean, I've heard people in my position talk about, oh, I'm going to be able to replace this and this and this and this and this, and I think that's the wrong attitude to it. It's like, because I think for automation, the focus of automation has to be how do I make so that people can do more of what really matters and less of the stuff that they don't want to do but they have to do because otherwise it doesn't work. I think that's the most important bit. So your focus should be there, and then that's not necessarily a cost reduction, but it's going to be an increase of ability, which is a good thing when you're making games. I think so. That's the important one there. And in terms of scaling, damn, I really don't know. I mean, like we try what we're doing, so we try to keep it sustainable, but every single day you learn. So you have to adapt and then try to be. I think our core values are solid, all right? So our values are very simply put, it's player and team first, and that's it. So it's not profit first, which is a very different KPI than a lot of companies, and that makes it very different. And so the belief is that if the content is there, the profit will follow. Or even simpler terms, happy player, happy business. I heard that the other day from somebody who was applying for a job here. So I said, that's really good, actually. So because it literally is the core of what the games industry should be about: happy player, happy business. So we focus on that, and we make many mistakes for sure. But if you then also try to learn from those mistakes and try not to repeat them at least more than once, then you're already in a better place also.
Right. You talked about your core values and the kind of games that you make, and for many people, especially you're known as these almost single player storytellers, and you have online elements, but primarily you make single player games to a degree and have that co-op, and you have narrative around them. And there was recently a discussion around kind of the future and the viability of games like that. And you're on Twitter popping off, talking about, I believe the quote is, "It's the time of the year when big single player games are declared dead. Use your imagination, they're not, they just have to be good." And there's been a lot of discussion that, there is no place for big single player games, which in turn, is kind of perpetuating the idea that you shouldn't fund these single player games. And you've said that's something that frustrates you. So kind of, can you talk a bit about that and where you're at that, especially in the context of what you're doing now?
Well, I'm not going to name names. This came up from some very high profile people. So it really frustrated the hell out of me. It is, what it does is it certainly cuts off a whole bunch of avenues because from that side you will not get the funding into the single player.
Just because they're high profile, it doesn't mean they're smart.
Obscure, right? So that just came out. It doesn't make any sense at all, because this is typically coming from directions where it's all focused on the microtransactions, milk it all you can type of business models. And true, there's lots of revenue being generated there, more revenue than you're going to get from your single player games. So that doesn't mean that single player games are not a viable market. There's lots of people that want to play a really good single player game and put money in it, especially if they have cooperative multiplayer like ours. Saying that they have no future just because there's another business model that earns more money, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, like, it's like with music, with books, there's room for a lot of things, right? Each their budget. I think we've proven with BG3 that you can put in a pretty high budget and expect pretty high results. So there's market there. And there's other examples. I mean, there's Dark Souls for Elden Ring that proves it too, right? So it's short-sighted, I think. But it's true that if you are going to just clone the games that are successful and bring those to the market, and not innovate at all, then you can expect that they're not going to sell. It's obvious, but that goes for any genre, I think, right? So there's a tolerance to the patience of the player for repeats of the same formula, which is the same for everything. It's for movies, for series, whatever. I mean, I think the example I often use when discussing this with the team is like the My Little Pony craze from the 2009s, when like there was like, market research has shown that there's still a market for My Little Pony simulators in which you go to a hotel in Bavaria. And you go, let's make that game. And said the guys. So that's not the right reason for making a game. So this is, so that was really that. So what I wanted to say is like, I think that for sure there's lots of money to be made in certain avenues, but you certainly shouldn't rule out a single player game as something that's self-sustaining.
Right. I guess, obviously everyone's going to be like, yeah, of course that makes perfect sense, but the realities of the industry currently are like, people are aware of that and they get behind that, but the kind of folks that are making the decisions aren't the people that message is reaching. So what would you say, like, how can developers empower themselves to kind of not abandon the idea of making single player games or narrative focused games that aren't just, you know, kind of iterative on other games? How do they tackle that kind of conundrum?
It's not easy, because you obviously you need funding to be able to create your game, unless you're really sole funded, and even then you still need funding. So if you need external funding, you're going to have to convince someone, and this is going to be the hard part. So that's why that narrative is dangerous. If people start saying that, that narrative propagates even to non-games industry people that are ready to put money into the games industry. We are an example of a company that at some point had external funding from non-games industry people. If somebody would have kept on repeating that single-player games don't make money, they wouldn't have invested in our single-player game, and that would have been game over. I think the best way that I've seen is to make something that gets player enthusiastic, or people that play games enthusiastic. That's really fun, right? That doesn't start, because I've seen many PowerPoints like this that start, this game is going to be like Doom meets Commander Keen, whatever. And so that's fine. And then the next slide is, Doom audience is this, Commander Keen audience is this. Let's add up these audiences. This is going to be great. And said, okay, well, you lost it now. So because the second slide should have been, if it would be a PowerPoint slide, let's go to the demo. And let's play some game. And then whatever little vertical slides that you have, that's really fun. Usually, if it's different and it's good, it's sufficient to convince somebody that knows what they're talking about. And there's many people in the investment community or in the publishing community still, and even in development community, developers that have been successful, they say, hey, shit, this is actually kind of cool, deserves to be made. I'll give you some money to make it, or invest in it. So I think that's, it should always be the core. What am I making here? Does this game deserve to be made, right? Is there a reason for it to be? If the answer is no, then it's normal that nobody's going to invest in it. I think that's fine. But if the answer is yes, then typically you have a better chance of finding someone that's going to be able to fund it. And these days you do have the audience, right? You have early access, you have Kickstarter still to a certain extent. So it is possible to get people on board, but I'm not going to say that it's easy, right? But it's got to be different. It's got to offer something new. Otherwise it's going to have a hard time.
I guess the follow-up to that is, I'm kind of like just trying to put everything in perspective, and I might have a flawed understanding of it. I feel like that kind of approach, it makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure it can inspire people who operate at a certain level. Like, you know, you have these almost indie teams or AA teams, whatever you want to call them, like the team behind Samfold, the team behind Clear Obscure. Like, they could see something like what you just said and be like, yeah, I'm going to approach this. However, a lot of people would also argue, but you need to get through to the bigger companies, almost the corporations like the Sonys and the EAs and that kind of stuff. Do you think it's realistic in this stage and in this stage of the economy and where games are at, for them to see that message and be like, yes, that's actually viable? I know there was a time when they would do that, but do you think we can go back to that? And or do you think that we're beyond that, where they need to operate at such a level where they don't have the ability to kind of turn the ship, as it were, to that direction?
I think, so not to quote the examples that you just said, but just as a general message, I think they would be wise too. I mean, that's how they're going to get innovation. It's not going to come from having to play it safe. It's going to have to come from risk. So here's the thing, right? So 101 evolutionary theory with Sven. You only get evolution if there's mutation. If there's no change, there is no evolution, right? You end up in what's called a local minimum, or basically a dead end. So you need to innovate to be able to make progress. Otherwise, you die as a company. Here's another one, management. I'm sorry. So this is a topic I think about a lot. So you have this S shape, they call it, in growth curves of companies, something that we have to deal with, right? So basically it means you're working. Oh, you got your breakthrough, so you go up, and then I'm on camera anymore. So you're working. Up, you have your breakthrough. Different direction, sorry. But anyway, so you have diminishing revenue or diminishing returns at some point from the thing that makes you break through. So if you keep on doing the same thing, those diminishing returns will come faster and faster and faster, and eventually you're going to die out. So you need to make sure that there's new stuff coming in, right? So what's the easiest way of doing that is investing in young, enthusiastic development teams, right? So that are trying stuff out and then figuring out which of these things is going to be working out, and maybe then saying, okay, well, this is ready for a bigger league, so we can invest more, because obviously the investments are large and there's lots of risk involved, etc. But not doing that, I think that would be a death sentence eventually. I mean, like, you have to. It's all easier said than done, by the way. But it is, I think, imperative that you continue to invest in new things if you want to sustain yourself as a larger company, because at some point, whatever made you large is going to lose its value, and you're going to have something new. And if it's not at the pipeline, then it's typically too late already. It should have been already coming up. That's the where you, in the middle of your S curve, you should have already had stuff ready for your next S curve, because then you can chain your S curves after one another. One thing starts dying out, that's fine. There's a new thing coming up. And so you see many companies that have been successful in reinventing themselves. But then it's true that you've seen in recent times there's this hyper consolidation that's been happening around certain genres, certainly in the free-to-play space, where there's innovation becomes harder. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, just trying to get your perspective, because you clearly have thought way more about this from I don't know business as well, games that much, but like, is it viable? Because what I see now also is a lot of the bigger companies, big successes can come from looking at what a smaller team is doing, where the innovation is happening, and then executing that on a much bigger scale. Because of the size of the company, they have the ability to reach a much wider audience than that smaller developer can come and almost push them out. Like, I don't think of the size doesn't make sense, but I think of like PUBG and that kind of like
same thing.
Yeah, and then Fortnite coming along as a kind of like Epic looking at that potentially and going, they're executing that same kind of idea on a bigger level. I would say Fortnite iterates and has its own innovations, but that basic concept of looking at the little guy going, I can do that bigger and get it to more people quicker. What about that approach to kind of existing in the kind of world of video games development, business, and that kind of stuff?
Well, it sometimes works, but not always, because this is going to become a conversation about management and investment. There was once a guy, I forgot who was the study, and they looked at a whole bunch of companies that were successful, and then they looked at a whole bunch of companies that weren't successful. And so one of the key things that made companies successful was to be first to market, and they operated in the blue ocean. And then the competition came, and they started making the ocean redder and redder, because they started killing each other, and the blobs colored the water. But the ones that were the first, in general, survived in the red ocean, because they managed to figure out the best island, the best place to be. So in case of PUBG versus Fortnite, I mean, PUBG did quite well for itself, right? They were first to market. Many people came after and had a harder time trying to do the same thing. Fortnite, obviously and famously, did it at a larger scale with much higher production values, and then with an enormous machine behind it. So did well, but there's lots of examples where you see people trying to do the same thing and it doesn't work that well, right? So think of the action RPG, like the original action RPG when talking about Diablo clones, right?
Yeah.
So there were a shitload of Diablo clones, but there were not many Diablo clones that succeeded in there, right?
Yeah.
Yet the formula was simple, that's what they started out with. And same for the RTS, by the way, also actually, right? So how many RTSs did we have?
Yeah.
But we're still talking about Warcraft and Command and Conquer, and then it starts getting harder if you have to start thinking about what's the next one, right? So I wouldn't say that's. I think you're better off having PUBG inside your company or working with them on something.
Yeah, I guess it all comes down to like, what is the priority for your company? Is it to make money fast? Is it to make a lot of money? Or is it to build something unique and sustainable potentially, right?
Well, I like to think that if you're a game developer, you want to make games. So I think that should be your first priority. I mean, like, if you want to make money, there's the financial market, so I'll also lose money. But I mean, like, I think the games industry, like movie industry, people get into the movie industry because they want to make movies, right? Not because they want to make money. The same thing goes for games. But games make a lot of money, and that attracts a lot of people. And And so as a result of that, you get a lot of people that are suddenly there for making money and forget what it is that is making games. That was my talk at the speech at the Game Awards was literally about that. Seeing that spreadsheet first and the game second is never a good idea in this industry. Put the game first, and your spreadsheet will follow if you put the game first. You don't have to worry about that. But for some reason, that truth doesn't permeate, which is really frustrating. Because that, as a result of that, you see so many waste of bandwidth happening in the industry. That's like where you say, okay, you know what I mean. And you look at all these things coming out and say, oh shit, that was a money-making thing. That was a money-making thing. That was a money-making thing. And then you can almost say like, what are the probabilities it's going to succeed? You almost know already up front it's not going to work because I'm not excited as a player about it.
Yeah, I think one of the maybe this is a question, maybe it's something you could just respond to. Like one of the things that I really appreciate that you do is when you're on Twitter, you kind of highlight games that are coming out that are worth kind of checking out, even if they're like you talk about like Expedition 33. You've talked about Skuld before. I know you were on the Balatro train pretty early. How important is that for you as a personal kind of like crusade almost, and why do you do that, and do you think other developers in prominent positions should be doing the same thing?
I think a lot of developers do. I mean, and I think you do it because somebody did it for you maybe, and you appreciate it tremendously. I mean, a shout out from developers that are more established is worth gold to a younger developer or to somebody that's up and coming. So it's a sign of support, really. I mean, like it's also to our prior point, right? So there's a quite community of developers because we all know how much shit we have to go through to make our games, right? So we empathize with each other and we understand when we see something, especially when we see something good, we know, man, how did you get here? There must have been a story there to get there to that point. And that's, I think, showing that is important. And then, yeah, if I get excited about the game, I definitely want to tell people about it because it's like just, okay, this is my thing. I'm very keen on it.
Yeah, it kind of is in line with your core principles that you talked about as a developer. And one of the other things that also is I'd love to get your kind of insight on the kind of ownership and collaboration with the community, because recently obviously you were very open about the situation around the Stardew mod, which was a pretty big deal, you know, and you came out and you said that free quality fan mods highlighting your characters in other game genres are proof your work resonates and is a unique form of word of mouth. Obviously a lot of companies won't take that same approach, but you also said there are good ways of dealing with this, where there is kind of like this two parties fighting over the same kind of like ownership over something. What do you think are those good ways of dealing with it, and why do you think it's important, if you don't know them, to try and figure them out?
So IP law is really
this
tricky.
Yeah.
It's one of those laws that it's a hard time dealing with it because it's at the core it's an exclusion law. It's a deviation from a general principle. There should be a free market, and so that's why you have all these stupid things around it. So that does need to be said that because it leads companies to do strange things as a result of it. But as a company that owns IP, it's perfectly possible to give somebody a license. So you could just say, hey, I think what you're doing is really cool. Here's a license. And that solves it. And I think that's what was done in this case. I think there was so that's the easiest way of dealing with it. If you're a company, especially in games or in any entertainment, and you have a group of people that spends I don't know how much time on creating something in honor of your game, especially in another game, I think you should applaud that. It's really cool, right? So, I mean, like it's passion, it is word of mouth from a marketing point of view, and it is, if it's good, it's a contribution to the entire games ecosystem. So, yeah, I think those are good things to happen, right? So it's
Can you
different when it
disconnect it
gets exploited
like
commercially,
that?
because
I
then
feel like that
suddenly
might not be good.
there's a really good argument to be made. Hold on, we do need to have a conversation here. But when it's free, when it's fan-based, and when it's clearly fan-based, I think it's different, right? So there's
Why?
well, I mean,
Oh, that's not good.
there's lots of games that have truckloads of things made around it that people share with each other, right? And then so I don't think you need to crack down on that. I think that's the wrong message.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting, kind of bring this to a close, is about BG3 is it's been a huge success from various perspectives. But I think what's, for me, as someone who like looks at the industry and culture around it, is what's really been crucial is it has had a huge impact on culture around video games, and it has made a mark which isn't likely to go away for a really long time, which, if you are inclined to put it in like capitalism thinking, means that there's a lot more people kind of dedicated to that game, that IP, that world long term, which again, if you want to make money, you've got longer term revenue generating opportunities. But at the same time, this audience has kind of taken on a life of its own, and it has ramifications beyond just the release of the game. And like you said now, like you've given BG3 to the community. Do you think that's something that people really underestimate the power of, impacting the culture as opposed to just thinking about the bottom line?
Well, it comes down from the same thing, right? Happy player, happy business.
Yeah.
So it's literally, I mean, like, we cannot sustain at the level that the modding community is making mods for BG3 the content pipe. We cannot do it with just, well, we could if we were to use AI for it, but you don't want that. So if you want a game to live, that's the best way of doing it. It's the same like development. If I want our games to be great, I have to make sure that the developers own it. If I'm going to be the one owning it, it's never going to be great because I can't do everything. I need the developers to do it. The same thing goes with the players. If the players own the game, they'll make it fantastic. So we had many examples in the past, so it's a miracle actually that not more people have figured this out by now. So I mean, Skyrim comes to mind as a game where modding made it huge, right? So that's gone
not Morrowind.
Like, I don't have to tell you what Warcraft 3 did.
Well, I guess Skyrim.
What that led to.
Yeah.
So many cool things happen when you give people ownership over them, and as a company, you can perfectly profit from it. I mean, like your core game is going to keep on selling, and whatever. If we're not in the DLC business, but if we would have been in the DLC business, I'm sure we would have benefited from it also. It's not as if that those opportunities go away. You just have a stronger, broader community that's more engaged, and so I cannot understand why you would not want that. And I think more and more people are starting to figure that out, and players are getting more vocal also about it. So it's a good thing. Right? So that's the days of. I'm seeing this tweet the other day because we had the Oblivion remaster, and somebody said, "Oh my God, I bought the horse armor."
Yeah, that is a hell of a turnaround. Well,
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's very, very funny, actually. You mentioned something there that I would love to kind of expand on a bit, and maybe even get your thinking behind, just even if it's like not been said for a while. You said you're not in the DLC business, which is, conventional wisdom would say you need to be in the DLC business to make the most out of the thing that you're making. Why are you not in the DLC business? Is that a hard and fast rule, or is it somewhat malleable given the context you're in? And what's the justification for right now not being in the DLC business?
It's boring. So it's really to really be honest answer is like we try to be in the DLC business. This is I've talked about that. So with BG3 and just it's no passion. And I mean like happy player, happy business, but you also need to have happy developer for a happy player. What we're doing now makes developers way more happy. We erred because it was what we were supposed to do, right? So, you got a huge game, huge hit, like, you got to make DLC this and DLC that and DLC there and DLC there, and money's going to pile up all the time. And we just nodded and said, yeah, we'll make DLCs. And then the moment that we had some time to think, we realized, what are you doing? So sometimes progressive insight is not a bad thing. So sometimes you go down the wrong path and then you say, oh, fuck it, just change course. And just do something else.
Right, to bring us to a close, final question, just kind of broadly speaking, like you kind of outlined where Larian is going for the future. What is kind of your like mission statement from this point on for the studio, and where do you hope to be in 5-10 years from now?
So we got an ambitious project. I'm not going to just tell you yet what, but I hope that
I feel like this is a mistake.
5 years from now, I can tell you about it. And saying, yeah, this is working out. This is what we're doing, and we are in a position where we
Because I can do is actually like
multiple
that.
RPGs
I think
side by
that would have
side,
fixed
so
it.
that we don't have to worry about
If I really
going
wanted
idle,
quads.
because that's actually the main reason why we're doing multiple projects, right? We have this waterfall
God
where
fucking
you have a
damn it.
smaller group that starts thinking about what we're going to make, and then this very large group that executes on it and talks to the people that were thinking about it. But then when that very large group is finished, if the people at the beginning are not ready, then everybody's stuck because everybody has to wait. Right? That's what we're trying to avoid. So I hope that I can tell you 5 years from now, hey, we cracked it, we figured it out, this is what we're doing now. Here's game one, we're making this completely different thing. That's an important bit, this completely different thing. Game two, and then when game two is going to be ready, we already got another thing that's going to come, and and if we can make that work in a really good way, that we enjoy our lives, that's going to be mission accomplished. In practice, it will probably be miserable, and there's going to be plenty of stuff that went wrong. But that's the goal. That's what we're trying to work towards. So something that we can get really multiple things that we can really get excited about. But I don't think that's the problem. But then actually being able and executing on them also without killing ourselves. I think that's the important bit.
Amazing. Well, Sven, I hope it's not 5 years before we get to talk again. But I do appreciate your time.
My wife will divorce me if it takes 5 years.
Thank you so much for joining me and spending a bit of time kind of speaking about the future and current state of the industry. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much, Stan.
Well, that was cool. Zakari, you said it's like really quiet. I'll boost my volume a little bit. Let's see if that's better. I'm not sure why there's a triangle in here. We need to get that fixed. Yeah, maybe it is okay to have triangles. Especially for like small stuff like this. I'm just gonna leave these triangles in. I'm gonna leave them in unless they cause like issues. Right now it's just ridiculous doing all of this. Like it hardly even affects the silhouette. It'll deform just fine. So there really is no issue here. I'm just trying to be a bloody perfectionist. Also, I feel like this triangle should have been caught further up instead of down. So I'll do this instead. And then this can escape out this way. Right? Yeah. Oops. Okay, I think we're done here. At least for the torso. Oh. Ugh. We need to do the mouth bag. And I think that's basically it. Oh, I have like 5. Whoa, okay, we gotta fix those. Definitely gotta fix those. We have some Engons in here. Definitely not the way to do it. Ah, why does it always have to be like this? Oh wait, there's one there. It's on the opposite side. We don't have to do anything weird. Okay, we got this. We have an end gone here. That means we can just like cut across here and it'll be all good. There we go. Simple as. I learned that from Australians. They say that often. Simple as. Okay, so there's no more end guns. There are a few triangles, but whatever. I think the other meshes also have some triangles here and there. The mouth bag. I think I still need to sculpt the mouth bag. There's like nothing in here. There's not even like the throat. We need to sculpt at least the throat and I don't know, some organic detail in there. We need to figure out how the teeth look. And then we gotta do the arms and legs. I might just go and do the arms and legs right now, just because I'm doing retopology right now, so I might as well just do the arms and legs since those are done. The sculpt anyway. I have to sculpt the stomach? It's already sculpted. The inside stomach. You mean the ball? The ball comes later. Right. Hi, Polly. And delete this. Why is this outside? Is there like 2 of these? The fuck? There is. Why is there 2? Well, I don't. Oh, I think I duplicated that just to retopo. But yeah, it's fine now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we don't need the body, we don't need the head or ears. We need, let's go to the arms, I guess. So all of this is just like one piece here. The arms will be composed of like 3 pieces, 4 pieces. What is this? Eyes rig, let me hide those. Oh. Let's go do one more. Okay. Oh, actually, I need to split this. Arm upper is actually 2 pieces. Yeah, let's go and split that. Yeah, this actually is upper 1. I think that's it, right? Okay. Let's split the parts. Split the similar parts. We need to freeze subdiv. Get rid of this bit here. Then we'll bridge. Yes, this is how it's done in real life. It's not actually the full cut. It's only half of this arc here. Otherwise, you're wasting... you're basically having extra metal that's just going to slow you down. And hopefully this unfreezes okay. Nice. Bit of polish work to do. Same on the other side. I don't actually have to close these off. In fact, I don't even need to do this, but I want to build it as similar as possible to real life. Okay, arm upper 1 goes above arm upper. We should rename this as arm upper 2. So if we have this, we hide that. Whoa, this also has to be part of arm upper 1. And this as well. Okay. Yes, this rotates. Wait, what's that? I just saw something. Oh, that's... No, never mind. And we have to do the same with, I believe, arm lower. Yeah. We need to split this off into arm... Wait. Yeah, arm lower 1 and 2. Hey Vasoya, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Wait, we should rename this as arm lower 2. What's up? What's crack-a-lackin'? Okay, I think that's everything. It might not be. So if we hide arm lower. Yep. Oh wait, we need the palm. Nice. Good teamwork. Okay, we need the palm. I think we're missing some rivets too. Yeah. Okay, I think that's everything now. Let's go take a look here. We hide arm lower. Oh, we need the trim. This needs to go. Alright, that should be everything now. Yeah, okay. I really need to stick to like a naming convention instead of doing whatever. Ugh. Man, has it already been 2 hours? That's crazy. I'm actually pretty tired. We'll get like we'll get the decimated version over to Moto. And then we'll probably call it a night there. Oh. Hopefully this works. I guess that's all I needed to do. Unfreeze. What's up with this then? How come it has... Oh, it has the backing because it needs the backing. Alright. This one doesn't have backing, so it doesn't... Okay, yeah. Never mind. Never mind. We're all good. When I freeze mesh, it messes with the poly paint. It actually looks kind of cool. I like this modeled look. Like this interesting modeled texture after unfreezing. Okay, let's go one by one. Let's go merge visible. Append this. Decimate this. Actually, wait, let's not do that yet. Hide that. Hide this. Arm upper 2. Merge visible. Append this. Hide this. Hide that. Elbow. Oh, the pipes are not in the right position. But I suspect like the pipe works will probably be more like a low poly thing that I do Just because they're so finicky in the first place. But I can like still, I guess I can still get them in like a better position. Just nudge them out of the way so the meshes aren't clipping. No, it's fine. Bomb one's fine too. Merge visible. Okay, so the arm elbow plates, they need to be separated into individual plates because these will be rigid bound, very similar to like Elden Ring with Melania. So this one's going to be new folder elbow plate 1. We're gonna go from top to bottom. And hide this. Actually, let's go this. Maybe split these off. Elbow plate 2. Elbow plate 3. Plate 4. This also belongs in elbow plate 4. Oops. Plate 5. We have arm upper, arm elbow for the internals, and then we have elbow plates after that. Elbow plate 1, 2, 5. Let's go see if this works. Okay. So if we hide elbow plate 5, that disappears. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Alright. We have the elbow pieces. I should be splitting these, splitting the joints. Just merge down. Yeah. And then split to, yeah, we'll split to parts, similar parts. Um, like everything that is a rigid mesh or like a separate page should be in its own folder, I think. Just in case I want to add on top of it. So there's going to be a lot of folders. But we can merge these and these as well. These two types can be merged. Or tubes, whatever. So we need more music. Arm, elbow. I should rename this. Joint. Okay, so we have all of that. We need to delete this. We'll just make a duplicate of this instead of merging folder, just because there's only one item in the folder. Same here, and same here. Elbow plates, merge folder. Make a duplicate of this. Elbow plate 3, same thing, duplicate. 4, merge folder. Whoops, don't want to duplicate that. Just move it down. Elbow plate 5, merge folder. Wait, yeah, merge folder. Four, yeah, it does have 2, okay. I was seeing things. Arm lower. Arm lower is good. We can merge folder. And then arm lower 2, merge folder. Okay. So these are all the pieces of the arm that need to be individually retopologized. And will be like rigid bound instead of what I always do, which is just like one big mesh. These will be individual components because they have to be to animate in a certain way. let's just unhide these. Do we have two? We do have. Wait. Oh, let's go hide whatever we're not using right now. Gonna do that. Okay. So the master copies are hidden. That, tubes, that, all the plates. Let's go decimate. Pre-process visible. Is there no pre-process visible? Oh, pre-compute's all visible subtools. Okay. Solo is off. Yeah, let's just go do it. Okay, let's just go one at a time then. Just like rename this A. Wait. Just gonna rename this arm upper. I really should just rename the masters. Oh well. Okay, hopefully this works. Pre-press us all. Okay, no more errors. Decimate all. I really should have just done this one by one, because even though it's decimating visible, it's going through every single subtool in the entire project. Like switching to subtool 235. It's not like doing the ones that are visible, it's going through, figuring out which ones are visible first, instead of like having like an ordered list ready to go. Annoying. Holy fuck, it really is going through every single subtool, back and front. That's like going through into the negative subtools. Dear God, never doing that again. Holy crap, that took fucking forever. We'll just do them one by one. Although this is... guess this is fine. Yeah. Let's just go do it one more time. Same here. Okay. FBX export. Visible export. There it goes, going through every single fucking subtool again. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Did it export? I think it exported, right? Hopefully. Looks like it's done cooking. And get rid of this. Okay. So, it's all organized now. Nice. Just what we needed. Although we don't really need the other half. But whatever, it's fine. Okay, arm upper 1. Oops. LP. So this was how many? I think it was like, yeah, 16. We need a 16 loop around arm upper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. At least we'll try. We'll try for a 16. Might need like an 18 because it's a little bit bigger. Sup, bruv? What's good? I don't know where that came from. You need to figure out your volume. You're always too damn quiet. How about now? Is it better? Advanced properties. Filter maybe? Noise gate, noise suppression. Give me a sec. I'm not doing this. We gotta turn off the one for Fire Giant. We're not doing fucking Fire Giant on this build. Okay, filters for mic aux. For mic aux. Noise gate, noise suppression, gain. Are these good settings? Attack time? My Cox has a attack time? That's pretty sick. I can also increase the volume on my mic. Hold on. What are the audio settings? Microphone. Microphone settings. How do I change? How do I get good, Rusty? You're at like 20 to 30% volume? Man, that sucks. I wish someone told me beforehand. Why is desktop audio at 2%? Can you guys even hear the game? Or like the anything? I think you do an OBS. Okay, let's go. Okay, this is left right and we don't want that. Let's go do. Okay, so you're saying like 20 to 30%. Let's go bump it up to 150. How's that? Is that better? Testing, 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 testing. You can hear music, okay. You see a bright light? If you see a bright light, don't go towards it. The bright light is bad. Testing, testing. Maybe I have to be really close to the mic. Maybe I'm not close enough. Maybe I have to deep throat the mic. How's that? Can you guys hear me? It's 200% now. Better? Let me know if you guys want like 250 or 300%. Not deep throat. we'll do 250. I think 250 will be safe. If you're saying like 30% lower, well, 250 should be. The noise gate and noise suppression is okay though, I think. I've played back my streams before and they seemed okay. I gotta turn off Fire Giant. Where is Fire Giant? Oops, not menu explanation. Ah. Foot of the Forge. Don't want that. Yeah, it's better. Okay, that's good. Yeah, if you want to enact change in the world, you've got to speak up. You've got to be like, "Yo, Zeph, you're fucking quiet. Get your stream together, man." And then I'll go and do it. Now bump up the sounds of the PC. Okay. Right now they're at 40%. I'll bump it up to... This is at like -20 now. For some reason it's like in reverse. I don't know why. I'm not an audio technician. But yeah, the game is really quiet. Just because I don't really like having a super loud game. But I bumped up the PC sound, so that should include the background YouTube music. Let's see what this is. Is this a 16? It looks like it might be more. Yeah, it's 22 Gs. Okay. We gotta knock that down a bit. $20. 18. Let's go with 18. It's a real stream now. Yay! About time. I can criticize GameSpot for having audio issues. because my audio issues are fine now, I can go ham on their on critiquing them. It makes sense now to critique them. Before, it would make me look like a complete idiot for doing that. It would make me look hypocritical if I critiqued someone else's audio when my audio sucked. Kaled. I should really just play a different build. This build is horrible for like certain bosses. Like it's fun to go through. Well, actually, I think I'll just turn off Radahn after this. I'm just gonna Severat. He can probably find a better Sunbroad than this character right now, for Radahn at least. Like, I don't have bleed or rot or anything. All I have is holy damage. We're gonna turn off Radahn. Oops. Wellington South. Try to make it a bit more even. I'm getting summoned really fast. What is up with that? I was hoping to get a little bit of work done before. I almost died. I might last. What? Oh, I might die anyway. Oh, House might die. Oh shit. Got roll caught 3 times. Okay. We'll take a break with Elden Ring. Is that all of the music? I guess it is. We'll go listen to some more Boomer music then.
And we belong together. Yes, we belong together.
Can you turn down music specifically? Yes, I can. I can just turn it down on YouTube. The game volumes I maxed. You know what I should do? I should really put like YouTube music on a separate track. But like that only works if I'm streaming to Twitch and then re-uploading to YouTube without the YouTube music. Like that's if I want to be a professional content creator and actually make money. But you know, like artists don't actually need money. We live off of exposure, so like that's kind of like a waste of time to do.
Yes, we belong together for eternity.
Put your head on my shoulder. Hold me in your arms, baby. Squeeze me oh so tight. Show me
Wait, how many? This is 18. This is also 18? Okay. What is up here though?
put your lips next
What
to
the heck?
mine,
Maybe I can just rotate this.
won't you kiss me once, baby?
So it makes a bit more sense.
Just a kiss goodnight, maybe you and I will fall in love.
Shuffle the playlist? I can't shuffle it.
People say
You know what we should listen to instead?
love's a game.
We'll listen to some Ultima parody songs. That's what we should listen to.
I like you, oh, yes, yes, and I think it, don't you know?
Yeah, it is just a long video.
Runs out in the night, any place it gets is right. Get far, get
I'm stealing other people's content. Don't let them know that.
you don't know what we can find. Why don't you die for me, little noob?
I'm living life dangerously. This is like young boomer music. It's like the new generation boomer music. This is actually kind of like, this is like Maddox's era music, if you think about it. Like he played Ultima Online. This is Ultima Online parody songs. You see? Like if you listen to this song, you'll be more like Maddox. It's true.
Close your eyes, noob. Look inside, noob. Let me make your world turn gray.
This can probably just... no, we do need kind of like a lip here. We'll just add that in with a loop. A loopy-doopy. It's a professional senior character artist terminology for like this edge loop here. We call these loop-de-doopies. Like ask any of my former colleagues at Grinding Gear tell them exactly what I said, they'll be like, yep, he's right. That's a loop-de-doopty. You turn the music all the way down. No, you kind. I have great taste in music.
The trick is all inside your head, she said to me. I can loot a corpse clean.
You just gotta get into the vibe. It's like vibe coding. I don't know how it works. It just works. You just gotta close your eyes and listen.
She said it's really not my habit to train thieves. After all, I've mastered ways of how to steal and to
So long, everyone. I gotta touch some grass. Alright, take care, Sicaria. If I put on the proper boomer music, will you stay?
50 ways to loot another. Just snooping in the back, Jack. Steal a
Don't go, don't go. I need viewers. It makes my EP go harder. The more viewers, the harder my EP. That's how it works.
She said goodbye and smiled and vanished out of sight. I checked my pack to find it empty, what a fright. And as she stealthed away, I realized that she was right. There must be 50 ways to loot another. 50 ways to loot another. Just snooping in the pack, Jack. Steal a black barrel, Earl. Take a fang bow, Joe. Just get your stuff free. Run when you are Gray Ray. You just hide your stuff away. Just steal the house key, Lee. Get your stuff free. Just snooping in the pack, Jack. Steal a black barrel, Earl.
Those happy
Oh, Zacharias missing out.
I spent with you,
Too bad.
that lovely afterglow. Most of all, I miss you so. Your sweet caresses, each rendezvous, your voice so soft and low. Most of all, I miss you so.
What?
You once filled my
Who's this guy? Wait, what?
with no regret.
Oh, who's this guy? But urge to send some death threats? What?
Now you'll find my heart.
Wait, what do you mean? Is there an invisible chatter in the comment section? I don't see it. I don't see this death threat uses guy. What? I'm scared now. I'm scared now, Rusty. Is someone gonna make an attempt on my life?
You'll never know. Most of all,
Just for being a game dev, I deserve to die?
I miss you so.
I guess it makes sense. Parody. What do you mean it's good? It's funny. It's like classic boomer music. This is like boomers' parents' music.
I'll always love you and want you to.
It's not proper
How
boomer
much
music.
You'll never know. Most of all, I miss so I'll always love you.
This is the music you listen to if you're feeling sexist. If you're feeling sexist and you think people should own slaves, go back to owning slaves. This is like the perfect music for that. If you think women belong in the kitchen and people of color should be in the fields, this is the music.
Extraordinary people. I'm glad there is you.
That's just being rude, Rusty. Like, you put yourself out there, you sing a few songs, and then just have some random Ukrainian guy shit on you. Like that's just completely uncalled for. Just enjoy your sexist, racist music in peace, okay? I already switched the music.
I live to love. I'd love to live with you beside me.
Like, if we had less of this music, maybe, like, boomers would have fucked less, and we would have had less problems in our life. Maybe we wouldn't have had Reagan if this music didn't exist.
In this world where many play, but hardly any stay in love. I'm glad there is you. More than ever, I'm glad there is you. I could show the world how to smile. I could be glad all of the while. I could change the gray skies to blue if I had you. I could leave the old days behind, leave all my pals, I'd never mind. I could start my life anew if I had you. I could climb the snow-capped mountains, sail the mighty ocean wide. I could cross the burning desert if I had you by my side. I could be a queen, dear, uncrowned, humble or poor, rich or renowned. There is nothing I couldn't do if I had you. I could be a queen, the uncrowned, humble or poor, rich or renowned. There is nothing I couldn't do if I had a you.
I can sing like this if I had some practice. I can sing you like the oldies myself, Rusty. I don't need to listen to YouTube playlists. I can just like sing this shit myself. Can't be that hard. Midas Trin. Oh god, run Midas. I don't think that band exists anymore. I think it's just like one dude in his garage. It's like it's before the times of like it was before like YouTube like existed almost. I'm that old. Proper boomer music.
If a breeze caresses me, it's really you strolling by. If I hear a melody, it's merely the way you sigh. Wherever you are, you're near me. You dare me.
How do you find that info? I don't think you can find statistic info. I haven't liked a single one of his videos. I'm very stingy with my likes. Did you know that he's Ukrainian? It's true. Sad but true. What is this geometry here? Oh, that's just decimated. Okay, that's fine. No way have I played this stuff 800 times. Dude, that's impossible.
If a breeze caresses me, it's really you strolling by. If I hear a melody, it's merely the way you sigh. Wherever you are, you're near me. You dare me to be untrue. Funny each time I fall in love,
crush on someone. Guess who? I've got a crush on you, sweetie pie.
Why are you so obsessed about this guy anyway?
Day and night time.
It sounds like you like him more than I do.
I never had the least notion
Maybe you and Midas should get
that I
married.
could fall with so much emotion.
If you like him that much, why don't you marry him?
Could you cool?
Huh, Rusty?
Could you care for a cunning cottage?
Then you can listen to his songs every night.
The world will pardon my mush, 'cause I've got a crush, my baby, on you. How glad a million laddies from millionaires to caddies would be to capture me. But you had such persistence, you wore down my resistance.
So you played 10 of his songs for 10 streams. That's already 100 plays. Been streaming for almost. That's almost like how many times I wink off in a day.
Handsome Romeo, how I won you, I shall never, never know. It's not that you're attractive, but oh, my heart grew active.
Forget I said that.
When you
I said nothing. I have a
came
wife. Why would
into
I
view.
have to do that?
I've got a
Yeah.
crush on you, sweetie pie, all the day and night.
Do you know that jerking off makes you gay?
Hear me sigh. I never
That's true.
had the least notion that I could fall with so
That one Romanian guy, the guy in Romanian prison, he told me that personally.
Would you care for a cunning cottage we could share? The world will pardon my mush, 'cause I've got a crush, my baby, on you.
Oh shit, I'm a hunter. Unexpected huntering? But okay. If I go down here, can I get a sniper's angle on this guy? Possibly. I might be able to snipe him from up here. Maybe no, not the. He might be a little bit too far away.
So I'm going to seek a certain lad I've
If he comes closer though, maybe. He's like dying from rot already.
looking everywhere, haven't found him yet. He's the big affair I cannot.
I don't have like a great sword or a great bow,
Only man
unfortunately.
I ever think of.
If he's coming closer, he just comes a little bit closer, I might be able to snipe him probably.
I'd like to add his initials.
This might be my chance here. Let's go this way. Oh my god, he's getting close. Ah, fuck. Target lock, man.
Where is the shepherd
Yeah.
for the
Ah, fuck. Oh, I almost got him. I almost got him. He died from the rot, though. Damn, that would have been so good. Ah, too bad.
I hope that he
We don't have a couch here. I just have to sleep on the floor. It's sad. I have to sleep on the floor because there's no couch. We're holding off on furniture until we move into our new place. But once you do, once we do, Rusty, rest assured, I'm gonna be sleeping on the nicest couch money can buy. At least my money, which doesn't go far. But hey, at least it's something. And with that something, I can invest in NFTs and make that something even bigger.
Although he may not be the man
Let's go undo that. Go loop slice here. Oops.
to my heart, he'll carry the key. Won't you tell him, please, to put on some speed? Follow my lead. Oh, how I need someone to watch over me.
What is going on here? What the heck? We slept on a mattress on the floor when we just moved in. And we actually kind of miss it because, like, if you sleep on a mattress on the floor, that means, like, if you have dogs, they can just, like, climb up with you. If you have a bed frame, you need, like, doggy stairs for that. So it doesn't feel as... It's not as cute.
Won't you tell him, please, to put on some speed? Follow my lead. Oh, how I need someone to watch over me.
Hope my attitude won't bother you, but the day was long and my mood is blue. I couldn't think where else to go. I just dropped by to say hello. Nothing special that I want to say. I just came to pass the time of day. I've told my heart
it mustn't show. I just dropped by to say hello. I've forgotten just how sweet our love was, except now and then memories fall just like the rain, and I remember when.
Okay.
Well, don't let me bore you
This is good.
anymore.
We need to connect the holes.
As I was before, I didn't want the thing you know. I just dropped by to say hello.
Now we need arm upper LP, arm upper 2. Well. Oh my god, it's almost like 4 hours. I might just end it here. Getting tired.
'Cause I'm not quite as lonely.
Yeah, I should go. It's 2:30 a.m. It's Monday already. I'll see you later, Rusty. Take care. Hopefully you can throw away that couch. Maybe when no one's looking. Maybe set it on fire and then you'll have an excuse to throw away. Almost ate a fly? Hey, extra nutrition, it's free. Bye. See you, Rusty. Take care, anyone else who's lurking. But I only have two watchers right now, so it's just me and Rusty.